This woman is seeing news about a dump truck driver who committed a serious crime. Although he purposely killed a shipper, he received the lightest possible sentence. After being released from prison, the driver felt no remorse. After a long time in prison, he returned to his former job. Upon hearing that news, the shipper's mother had come to find the driver. "Why can a bastard like you get out of jail so early? Why did you run over my child again? Why didn't you call an ambulance for my child? Is the human part of you possessed by demons?" However, the driver claimed it was an unintentional accident. Not only that, he also loudly chased the mother away. "Please leave and stop bothering me. It's all over long ago. I've already served my time in prison." Not far away, someone was observing everything. Then the driver went to a sauna to enjoy life. Just then, a man in black with a mask appeared. With a few basic moves, he swiftly sent him off to the afterlife. Who is this man in black? Why did he do that? Is he a hero or a serial killer? Let's go back in time. From childhood, I've never seen a more pitiful child than this one. Since he was a child, he witnessed his mother being beaten by a thug over a minor dispute. Ironically, due to the thug's remorseful attitude, the court reduced his sentence. Moreover, this murderer even had a certificate of mental illness. Thanks to all these points, this demon was only sentenced to 3 years and 6 months in prison. While being escorted to prison, the criminal called the boy a miserable. From that moment on, the hatred in the boy's heart burned stronger than ever. Time flew by like a bike without brakes. 12 years had passed. The thug had also been released. However, he still showed no remorse and continued his immoral activities against society. In the past 12 years, he had been in prison 18 times for his violent behavior. Every time released from prison, this bastard would seek out his past victims to beat them. Perhaps this was his way of warning those who had arraigned him. Late one night, after committing a heinous act, this man went back to his lair, but as he reached an alley, he was intercepted by a masked man in a black coat. In an instant, this mysterious guy taught the bastard a lesson. In his rage, he yelled at this scoundrel, accusing him of destroying his family. "If the law couldn't punish you properly, then I will." Afterward, he coldly sent the dangerous criminal off to the other side. Unexpectedly, this mysterious guy was the miserable boy before. Perhaps all that suffering had transformed into his inner strength. That boy had now become an outstanding student at the police academy. Despite being a future police officer, Ji-young despised Korean law. He wanted to treat dangerous criminals escaping justice by his own way. That night, Ji-young returned home and watched the news as usual. The news reported a criminal breaking into a house to steal. Though there was no death, the homeowner was severely injured. Yet the court declared the criminal innocent because he didn't resist the police or destroy evidence. After carefully studying this criminal's behavior, Ji-young put on his familiar black coat. He would find justice for the harmed by teaching that scoundrel a lesson. After being released, the scoundrel returned to where he committed the crime to take revenge. As Ji-young appeared, the scoundrel was peeing into the home where the victim's wife and child were living. Seeing this scene, Ji-young immediately beat these two scum brutally, leaving them lying in the dirt. When the victim's wife and child looked outside, all they saw were the two lying on the ground. Returning home, Ji-young continued to investigate dissatisfied cases. A male doctor frequently abused female patients during surgeries. Despite light punishment, he was not stripped of his medical license. At this moment, the despicable doctor was preparing for a new cosmetic surgery. After injecting anesthetic to the female patient, the doctor set up a camera to record the entire procedure. Just then, Ji-young smashed through the glass door and approached the scoundrel. He saw the doctor preparing to abuse the patient. Without hesitation, Ji-young locked the doctor and beat him mercilessly. Then he injected a syringe into his neck, causing him to collapse. Not stopping there, Ji-young disabled the doctor's hands to prevent him from practicing medicine. Finally, he took the hidden camera and left. Upon arrival, reporter Choi went straight to the department head's office. She asked the manager to review the mysterious figures cases. After a long period of research, reporter Choi realized that all these cases had a common point. Those cases' victims were all criminals harmful to society but were set free due to the court's illogical rulings. A thief who broke into a home and severely injured the homeowner was declared innocent. A doctor with sexual harassment behavior remained unpunished. Although these cases caused public outrage, the law failed to protect the victims. Due to loopholes in South Korean law, Criminals were set free, instead of receiving proper punishment. That's why the mysterious figure emerged, making these pay a heavy price for their actions. Don't you realize what the public wants? Everyone needs a hero like the mysterious guy. Seeing the manager's indifference to this news, reporter Choi withdrew her report. She would seek a station interested in this hot topic. Finally, the manager agreed to her proposal. He asked for the name of the series. Without hesitation, Choi replied the vigilante. During lunch with friends at the university, Ji-young was surprised to see the TV reporting about someone called the vigilante. This mysterious guy on behalf of law punished those whom the law had set free. In this report, the victim's wife, whose house was robbed, thanked the vigilante for saving her and her child. After watching, Seon-wook praised the vigilante as a dark hero. Back at the dormitory, Ji-young read news about the vigilante. Articles about the vigilante were trending hot on social media. The manager received good news from the staff. The latest broadcast of the station had a skyrocketing viewer rating. Their task now was to plan for the next broadcast. Right then, reporter Choi appeared. She stated that the vigilante usually acted on weekends. She was confident he would appear this weekend too. At the police university, Professor Lee asked Ji-young and Seon-wook to help him sort new case files sent from the National Police Agency. While reading the files, Young noticed a special case. A drunken driver had taken another person's life. When Ji-young arrived at the victim's funeral, he saw the driver kneeling, sincerely apologizing to the victim's family. Seeing the driver's remorseful attitude, Ji-young decided to forgive him. At the TV station, everyone was waiting eagerly. The manager turned to ask reporter Choi why there was still no new information about the vigilante. If there's no new case, what should this episode be about? Upon hearing this, reporter Choi suggested exposing Sejun's case. She hoped the vigilante, once hearing the news, would take the hook. As predicted by reporter Choi, indeed Ji-young watched this news. The news covered Sejun's case, a middle-aged man who assaulted a schoolgirl in an amusement park. He was sentenced for only 7 years, claiming temporary insanity. Just a few days ago, he was released. After the broadcast, many reporters, YouTubers, and TikTokers surrounded in front of the house where the criminal Jong was staying after his release. They did so to protest against the decision to release this despicable criminal. The manager and Choi also joined the crowd from far away, awaiting the vigilante to handle him. Ji-young logged into the crime database in Professor Lee's office. He wanted to research Sejun's case files. When the professor walked in, Ji-young claimed he was there to organize the case files assigned to him. At this moment, at the criminal Jong's residence, it was raining heavily. Reporter Choi saw Jong stepping out and driving a truck somewhere. Reporter Choi immediately followed this criminal. Reporter Choi chased Jong to a port. But there were many identical trucks to the one Jong was driving. So the reporter lost track of this criminal. The police began examining Jong's house. 2 police officers reported that the tracking monitor on Jong's ankle had lost signal at Incheon port. It seemed like he's trying to flee abroad. Police chief sent officers to protect the victim, and he went to the port to search. Ji-young was listening to the professor's lecture when his phone received a news alert. Jong had removed the ankle monitor and disappeared. Currently, at the pier, the police had examined every ship preparing to leave. Reporter Choi felt annoyed. She told the manager that they were not here to capture the moment the police arrest the criminal Jong. They were here to capture the moment the vigilante handled the criminal. At night, the police chief was informed that Jong threw the monitor into the sea. Seeing many boats about to leave the port that night, the police chief immediately ordered more officers to check the ships. 2 police officers guarding at the victim's house, who was assaulted 7 years ago, also received summons. 1 police officer left and let his colleague stay. As the police officer was going, he saw a deliverman wearing a helmet covering his face entering. He immediately asked him to show his face. The deliverman opened his helmet. The police officer realized this wasn't the criminal Jong, so he let the deliverman in. Deliverman got out of the elevator and was attacked by a stranger. Choi suspected Jong went to victim's house after studying the local map. Reporter Choi called on all reporters to rush there to record the news. Officer saw the TV station's car rush, then quickly followed with police chief. The police officer was guarding when a deliverman brought some food for him. Then he pulled out a knife to attack. The police officer used a baton to defend himself but eventually was stabbed in the abdomen by the criminal. The police officer tried to remove the helmet of this person. He recognized this person as the criminal Jong. He continued to stab the police officer again and then threw acid into his face. As the victim girl stepped out, Jong grabbed her. The police officer tried to pull Jong back for the victim girl to escape. The girl ran down the stairs, but Jong grabbed her hair and pushed her down the stairs. Jong started blaming the girl. "It's because of you that my life is ruined. I should have killed you back then. Now the whole world is mocking me. I'll send you to hell and then live the rest of my life peacefully in prison." Unexpectedly, Ji-young appeared and kicked him down the stairs. As he grabbed the knife to attack, Ji-young punched him in the mouth. Then Ji-young, he punched him down the stairs. Next, Ji-young kept beating brutally, causing him to crash through the glass door and lie on the frame. Ji-young, he dragged him inside and threw him onto the floor. When Jong begged for mercy, the mysterious guy asked him to write an apology letter. Write it quickly and sincerely. Reporter Choi was speeding to the victim girl's house when she saw a man crossing the street. She immediately hit the brakes. This young man was Ji-young. Reporter Choi entered the building where the murder had just occurred. She lied to the police that she lived in this building. Police were carrying injured officer to ambulance. Reporter Choi immediately rushed to the crime scene. She didn't seem scared but smiled when she saw that Jong had died here. Additionally, on the wall, there was a blood message asking for forgiveness. "I was wrong. Please forgive me." Police chief reported to the head that the culprit had deleted all the camera footage after committing the crime. He had planned this beforehand. The culprit made the criminal Jong write this message before he passed away. Then, the head requested to turn on the TV. At this moment, Repo 25H TV station was broadcasting the news, even showing the red text on the crime scene. The head was furious that his subordinates let reporters to capture these must-be-hidden images. Next day, Professor Lee told Ji-young and Seon-wook crucial news. "I've been asked to join the investigation of the vigilante's case, so you two will have to develop the data software yourselves without me. Remember, never let the data leak out of this room." After that, Professor went to the crime scene to investigate with the police chief. Professor Lee was sure that the culprit knew the police investigation process well, so he erased all traces so thoroughly. A female student living there appeared and said the vigilante was the one who saved that victim. "Why do you guys treat him like the culprit? Release me. Am I wrong?" The manager read the audience's comments on his TV news website. Surprisingly, the news website crashed due to many simultaneous visitors. The manager stormed out for being accused of taking advantage of the vigilante for attention. Reporter Choi immediately responded loudly. "Media only succeed when having numerous viewership and discussion. The vigilante watched our program and eliminated the criminals we reported on. Our mission is to produce even more compelling episodes. I will use these 3 criminals to lure the vigilante to act in the future." Ji-young was working out at the gym with his 2 best friends when he saw a news report on Repo 25H. The news was about 3 criminals. Among them was the criminal Seo Do-yeep. He and his accomplices had broken into a convenience store and ruthlessly killed a mother and her 2 children. That night, Ji-young couldn't sleep because of the news he had watched in the evening. Ji-young immediately left the dormitory and went to Professor Lee's office. He aimed to search for Seo Do-yeep's case, involving the convenience store owner's demise. In 2018, Seo Do-yeep and his underage gang broke into the convenience store where he used to work. Seo Do-yeep ruthlessly attacked the store owner and her 2 children. Right after getting out of prison, he and his gang went to a bar to celebrate. Ji-young was furious when he saw this information. Then Ji-young prepared to get on the car to go home for the weekend. His 2 best friends invited Ji-young to go to a bar to have some fun. All 3 of them went to the bar to relieve stress after a week of confinement in the police university. Ji-young looked around and saw Seo Do-yeep was also there. A female nightclub employee came to pull Ji-young's hand to dance together. As they drank together, Ji-young's gaze kept turning towards Seo Do-yeep. A friend asked him why he was released so early despite his murder. Seo Do-yeep said he just blamed it on others following him then done. They're underage, so they won't get heavy sentences. There wasn't any evidence against him that day. Korean law is great. The nightclub employee noticed Ji-young kept staring at Seo Do-yeep, so she took him outside to talk. When they left the dance floor, the girl asked if Ji-young came here because of Seo Do-yeep. "Do you want to buy this? But he only sells it to international students." The girl popped a pill into her mouth and then passionately kissed Ji-young. Afterwards, Ji-young felt like he couldn't control his own body. Finally, Ji-young managed to go home and woke up the next morning. Ji-young returned to the police station and accessed the social media page of the criminal Seo Do-yeep. Ji-young accidentally watched a video of 2 children innocently singing and dancing before being harmed by Seo Do-yeep. Remembering Seo Do-yeep's relaxed attitude at the bar last night, Ji-young felt even more disgusted. Ji-young began investigating the drug distribution system that Seo Do-yeep was involved in transporting. The next day, after Seo Do-yeep delivered drug to a girl, Ji-young discreetly followed him. He then saw him handing a bag to a man and receiving a bag of money from this man. After that, he drove to a riverside and entered a small house. Here he put all the money into a safe. The next day, Seo Do-yeep found a note on his car in the basement, telling him to confess and leave a phone number. He then got into the car and called his blonde-haired accomplice. "I'll read you this number, you call it to see who that bastard is for me." The blonde man called back, identifying that's the number from the anti-drug police team in Busan. Then Seo Do-yeep went into the bar, but he was very worried and scared. Suddenly he saw the police raiding this bar for inspection. Seo Do-yeep quickly fled, then sped back to his house. Someone had broken into the house and taken all the money from the safe. Surprisingly, Ji-young called his name from behind and poured his money on the ground. Ji-young began pouring gasoline on the money. Seeing this, Seo Do-yeep immediately ran over to attack. Then he was knocked down by Ji-young. Ji-young told Seo Do-yeep to confess, apologize to the families he had killed. Then Ji-young threw a lighter to burn the money lying on the ground. Seo Do-yeep grabbed a shovel trying to extinguish the burning money. He attempted to attack Ji-young but was repeatedly punched with powerful fists. Ji-young used a chain to lock this cold-blooded criminal. Seo Do-yeep opened his mouth and begged Ji-young to spare his life. While punching, Ji-young said, "When the family were begging you, did you spare them?" Then Ji-young took Seo Do-yeep's phone out and played the video of the 2 children he had killed. Seo Do-yeep also apologized, but it was too late. The next morning, the police began investigating the crime scene here. The police found that Seo Do-yeep was killed by a chain hung on his neck. Repo 25H TV station reported that Deputy Chief of Police spoke to the media. He pledged to form a special investigation team to arrest the mysterious killer soon. Criminals should be brought to justice by the law, not by individuals. But it seems that the public is supporting the actions of the vigilante. A judicial council discussed on television to debate whether the law has been too lenient on criminals. So there appears to be someone like the vigilante. Here, the manager and TV station staff started celebrating because the broadcast just aired achieved a record viewership rate. Reporter Choi showed frustration. She scolded everyone not to celebrate anymore. "We have to quickly get to the scene of Seo Do-yeep's murder to broadcast the next episode about the vigilante. The vigilante took our hook, that's why he killed Seo Do-yeep. How long will the celebration last? Don't you know what the public is eagerly awaiting?" The police chief informed his subordinates. Monster team leader Jo Hoon has been sent here to lead this investigation. At this moment, a tall and muscular man approached the blonde accomplice of Seo Do-yeep. He wanted to ask him a few questions. When the blonde showed reluctance, the man bent a coin with his hand to showcase his strength. Then, he effortlessly lifted the blonde by the collar like a stuffed animal. The blonde knelt on the rooftop begging the muscular man to spare his life. He first thought the man was a debt collector, but when he realized the man was a police officer investigating who harmed Seo Do-yeep, the blonde became more cooperative. Jo Hyun said, "Let me dispense with formalities with you." Then, Jo Hyun delivered a powerful punch to the blonde. "I'm not the kind of cop you see on TV," he said. "Do you recall anyone suspicious hanging around Seo Do-yeep before he died?" When the blonde pulled out a knife to attack, Jo Hyun disabled him. Then he pushed him to the railing. Jo Hyun left the blonde hanging in midair. The blonde, terrified, suggested the culprit might be a person Seo Do-yeep met at the bar. Many people with hero spirit eagerly imitated the vigilante's actions. They also punished criminals the law had not sentenced deservedly. They also saw themselves as vigilantes. When arrested by the police, they claimed to act for justice in place of the law. The media also reported on the rise of those imitating actions across the country. A legal expert warned against vigilante on television. "You're not heroes, you're criminals. Don't make South Korean law become a mockery." Ji-young and his 2 friends watched this bulletin. They realized the media purposely pushed the vigilante's actions into a phenomenon. Thus, it led to the proliferation of imitating actions. At this point, reporter Choi was trying to find another case to lure the vigilante into action. She paid attention to the case of a deliverman killed by a truck driver. The driver had just been released from prison. Reporter Choi asked her colleagues to arrange an interview with the recently released driver. At the same time, Ji-young began to investigate this case. He accessed the police data and watched security camera footage from the scene of the accident. The deliverman was crossing the street when he was hit by a dump truck. The bent driver got out of the car to check on the deliverman. However, he ignored the deliverman's pleas for help. Seeing no one around, the driver got back into the car and reversed to hit the deliverman again. The driver was sentenced to only 1 year and 2 months in prison. The court concluded his actions was unintentional. Ji-young couldn't continue reading the case file as Seon-wook suddenly came in. Later, Ji-young sneaked into this room and took a picture of the driver's personal profile. The next day, Ji-young returned home and helped an old lady collect recyclables. Ji-young saw a bulletin announcing that the driver had been killed by the vigilante. However, Ji-young appeared quite surprised. As Jo Hyun approached the scene in the sauna, the police chief announced the criminal had used jamming devices to disable all security cameras here. At this point, another TV station was faster. They began reporting on the assassination of the driver by the vigilante. Reporter Choi was furious. Why did the vigilante act when our channel hadn't reported on the driver's release yet? We must ensure the vigilante depends on us, no exceptions. The rival TV station also followed reporter Choi's approach. They were also reporting on murder criminals who had been set free by the law. The purpose was to provoke the vigilante. A 40-year-old woman had murdered her husband for insurance money. A teenager had brutally assaulted a woman. Not long after, both the 40-year-old woman and the underage teenager were killed by a masked person in a black jacket. Ji-young was reading a book in the library when his roommate rushed in to inform him. The vigilante sent a letter to a TV station. Let's go watch the news. Ji-young watched the news and saw a message from someone claiming to be the vigilante sent to the TV station. He urged everyone to stop imitating the vigilante's actions. Such actions could make society become a mess and lead to more serious crimes. However, we won't stop our punitive actions until the law prioritizes protecting victims over criminals. Ji-young knew someone was impersonating him and was very angry. He told his two roommates that it wasn't the vigilante because he used the term we. The police chief also told team leader Jo Hyun that the person who killed 3 people recently was not the vigilante, because the vigilante would not harm women and underage individuals. Jo Hyun believed that the vigilante became so arrogant because of the media and everyone's applause, so he broke his own limits. Professor Lee appeared, suggesting the masked person sent message to provoke someone, and that's what the imitator would do. Reporter Choi firmly said neither the person who had harmed 3 criminals recently, nor the letter sender to their competitive station were the vigilante. She would hold a special debate to regain the trust of the real vigilante. Soon after, Ji-young also watched the debate on Repo 25 HTV, while the counselor demanded to protect the human rights of criminals and their families. Reporter Choi strongly defended the rights of victims and the righteous. Criminals not only harm victims but also cause great pain to their families, especially children who lost their parents. Meanwhile, the court continuously had regulations to reduce penalties for offenders. This only made the victims' families feel even more painful. Don't you think that was the reason why the vigilante emerged? After watching the news, Ji-young was convinced by reporter Choi. Jo Hyun's team vigorously arrested self-proclaimed vigilantes in black jackets. When they saw the arrested people's expressions, Jo Hyun realized that they were just opportunists following the vigilante. The old lady collecting recyclables was pulling her cart down an alley. A car behind her kept honking and pressing her. The driver continuously cursed and demanded the old lady move out of the way. Then he rammed straight into her, causing the old lady to fly far away. After exiting the car, he continued to curse and beat the poor old lady. A nearby teenager, furious by this, rushed to stop this driver, and then taught him a lesson. Then the police arrived and arrested the driver. The teenager was also taken away by the police for causing physical harm. At the university, Ji-young watched the news reporting the old lady collecting recyclables was intentionally rammed to death. She had passed away, leaving her sickly husband alone at home. The driver told the police that he simply made a mistake while driving. He showed signs of mental illness too. Meanwhile, the teenager helping the old lady was detained by the police. Ji-young watched the news with great indignation. That night he couldn't sleep. Ji-young sneaked into Professor Lee's office to search for the file of the cruel driver. At that moment, the older brother of the driver who had just hit the old lady was pounding on her door. He shouted insults and demanded that the old lady's relatives set a price to reconcile. But inside, there was only a sick old man lying alone inside, without anyone to take care of him. This guy then went to his karaoke bar. As soon as he entered the karaoke room, he was kicked and then beaten up by Ji-young. Reporter Choi announced that they would monitor the hospital where the driver was being treated. They would split into 4 teams hidden around the hospital. The real vigilante will definitely show up to avenge the old lady collecting recyclables. At this time, the driver was comfortably lying in the hospital, guarded by the police. Jo Hyun also came to the hospital because he knew that that guy was a target of the vigilante. Jo Hyun used his bare hands to move an improperly parked car so his teammates could park. Reporter Choi ambushed outside the hospital. She had already set up a camera. The police guarding the driver received a phone call. His car had been hit by another car in the parking lot. Hearing that, he went down to check. Ji-young immediately appeared and entered the hospital room of the driver. He gave this murderer a bottle of medicine and demanded him to confess to the court. Say that you deeply regret it and wish for the highest penalty. If not, you'll meet me again and suffer more painful than what you did to the poor old lady collecting recyclables. Discuss it carefully with your brother. As the police officer went down to the parking lot, he saw that his police car was still intact. The investigators discovered they'd been trapped and rushed upstairs. Jo-han saw a young doctor walking past as he entered the hospital room. Jo-han felt suspicious and was about to follow, but he saw his colleague running into the room of the driver. At this time, the driver was being tied up on the hospital bed. Jo-han and his colleague quickly searched for a 25-year-old man wearing a doctor's outfit. The police chief ran into the security room and found that all surveillance cameras were disrupted. Jo-han ran down the staircase to follow the suspect. Ji-young quickly removed the doctor's outfit and managed to escape outside. In the hospital room, the driver tried to call his brother. He saw his brother's phone lying in the box that Ji-young had just brought. Then the driver was knocked unconscious by a person wearing a black mask. Ji-young walked out of the hospital and heard a loud noise behind him. It was the sound of the driver falling from above onto a car. Reporter Choi quickly ran over with an excited expression. Ji-young saw a person wearing a black jacket descending from above on a rope. This person then got into an ambulance and drove away. Ji-young took a shortcut to intercept it, then he ran, opened the ambulance door, and jumped onto it. The masked person regained composure and said happily to meet Ji-young. The masked man drove to a rooftop parking lot, then told Ji-young, I've disrupted all the hospital cameras to help you. During this time, I've helped you erase some traces so you won't get caught. I'm your fan. Cooperate with me. Ji-young immediately attacked the masked person. He kept saying, I'm your fan. Then the two fought each other. The masked person continued to urge Ji-young to cooperate with him to hunt down those bastards, but Ji-young kept attacking and punched him in the face. Ji-young said he was tarnishing his actions. Why did you finish off that driver? The two continued to fight fiercely. They fought on the flat ground and then climbed onto the wall to add more drama to the fight. As the masked person was about to fall to the ground, Ji-young kicked him hard. Then he also struggled on the wall. The masked person promised to take off the mask if Ji-young saved him, but Ji-young said, I don't care, don't get in my way anymore, and left the masked person alone. Jo-han studied the list of hospital staff but found no suspicious individuals. Then he asked the staff if anyone working here was as tall as he was. The staff immediately stood up and told Dada was the tallest here. Reporter Choi reviewed the footage she had captured and saw a young man in a black coat entering the hospital. He returned to the university with many injuries on his face. He kept receiving cooperation invitations from the fan he had just met. At this point, a vice chairman was driving a supercar to DK Corporation for work. He also had many injuries on his face. Upon hearing the staff announce that yesterday reporter Choi from Repo 25H TV station had the footage around the hospital, the vice chairman immediately ordered his staff to contact that TV station for him. The driver's older brother tortured his gang members for letting a stranger trespass into their territory. Moreover, that stranger dared to threaten him. Furthermore, he sent his younger brother off to the afterworld. He demanded to bring that stranger to him at all costs. Right then, Captain Jo-han arrived to find him. He introduced himself as a policeman. I'm here because of your brother's case. We still haven't concluded whether your brother was killed by the vigilante or not. Do you have 8 prior convictions? We will try to investigate the case as quickly as possible, so don't try to solve the problem yourself. Gang OK went to the TV station and was led into a room to meet reporter Choi by the station manager. The vice chairman told the reporter, I know you're the one giving the vigilante nickname. I really like the way you built the image for him. We have the same mindset, so I want to sponsor you from now on. Reporter Choi refused because she wanted creative freedom without being influenced by any force. The vice chairman laughed and asked if she had captured the image of the vigilante. The station manager quickly said it's on that USB. The station head also said this vice chairman was their biggest sponsor, and told her to give him the USB. But the reporter kept refusing. Then Gang OK requested to speak privately with the reporter. Gang OK confessed, I really like the vigilante. I like the message the vigilante is sending to the world. I know you also like the vigilante. So let's protect that person together. Then the vice chairman took the USB from reporter Choi and left. The reporter just burst out laughing. The police chief said that the one who killed the driver had a way of erasing traces very similar to the vigilante. There was no security camera or black box data capturing him. He even swung down the rope to escape after the crime. Professor Lee suggested the vigilante could be someone familiar with police procedures. A policeman wondered if this person could be a cop. Johan felt this statement was quite reasonable. He decided to go meet Professor Lee. Johan drove to the police university to meet Professor Lee. While passing by Jiyoung, Johan turned around to see. Johan entered and handed Professor Lee a file about the vigilante for him to study. Johan asked why there were so many computers here. Professor Lee said he was developing an app so a few students were helping him. Johan requested to see the photos of those students, but the professor refused to disclose his students' personal information. Johan then asked how Professor Lee would handle it if the vigilante was indeed a cop. Professor Lee turned the question back to Captain Johan. Eventually, Johan drove back. Reporter Choi was continuously searching for more criminals to lure the vigilante for the next episode. Later, she found Chairman Kim Sam-doo had been acquitted of murder. While Johan was walking down a street, he noticed a restaurant with a camera installed. He immediately went inside and asked the owner to let him review the camera footage. The owner appeared annoyed, stating that a gang had already checked the cameras in this area yesterday. Why check it again now? Johan then infiltrated the gang's hideout of the driver's brother. He easily knocked down the door guard and then a few more to meet the gang leader. Seeing Johan's power, the gang leader retreated inside. A gang member began to attack Johan from behind, but with just a few moves, Johan swiftly dealt with them. The gang leader threatened to make Johan lose his job. Johan then destroyed the iron door frame and loudly warned the gang leader, "Don't do anything anymore, let me handle your younger brother's case." Professor Lee took attendance of students in his class. When calling Jiyoung's name, he noticed that he had many injuries on his face. Professor Lee asked the reason for Jiyoung's injuries. Jiyoung explained that he was injured while practicing judo at a gym near his home. Professor Lee seemed suspicious and asked Jiyoung for details. Suddenly, someone rushed in to inform that the police wanted to meet Jiyoung. Professor Lee and Jiyoung went outside to meet a police officer. A girl confirmed that Jiyoung had rescued her when she was harassed by a man on the street. That's why Jiyoung had many injuries on his face. Professor Lee asked why he didn't tell the truth to him. Jiyoung replied that students at the police jolt shouldn't fight with civilians. "I thought it was a bad thing, so I didn't dare to tell you about it." The employee told Gang OK that evidence of Jiyoung's innocence was fabricated. Jiyoung seemed very worried about his face's injuries. I watched the video from reporter Choi. She filmed Jiyoung, but it was too dark to see his face clearly, and that reporter is investigating the company of Chairman Kim Sam-doo. Gang OK heard this and became very interested. Jiyoung read the message from the masked person who was also his fan. He remembered the cooperation invitation to eliminate dangerous criminals. He realized he couldn't do this alone anymore, because Captain Johan had started investigating the vigilante case. Jiyoung intended to text back to the masked person but hesitated. Later, Gang OK also received a message from Jiyoung to meet. Gang OK read the message with great excitement as he might collaborate with his idol. Reporter Choi went to a newspaper office to find a former colleague of hers. She wanted to ask him about Seawolf Company of Chairman Kim Sam-doo. Reporter Moon said the company was disguised as a sports and entertainment goods importer, but actually operated the largest gambling website in Korea. There were rumors that it also distributed drugs. Co. Do-yeep, handled by the vigilante, was also an employee of that company. Moreover, Chairman Kim Sam-doo was not a human. Anyone who was against him was either disabled or missing. He had just killed someone and now he's on parole. That's why I didn't dare to write about Seawolf Company's crimes. But now that a reporter with such influence as you cares about this case, it's great. I'm about to meet actor Jae-hoon. He contacted me to bring some documents related to Seawolf Company to light. At this moment, Chairman Kim Sam-doo brought along many henchmen to a warehouse to punish 2 employees. These 2 dared to testify that he incited others to do immoral things. Kim Sam-doo demanded to let the pigs out to play with these 2. Then, many pigs rushed out and surrounded the 2 employees. The subordinate reported that a female reporter from Repo 25H was investigating their company. Reporter Choi and her friend went to the house to meet actor Jae-hoon. Seeing the door open, both went inside. They were surprised to see the actor had already died. Reporter Choi was angry when the police concluded that Jae-hoon had suicided. Not long ago, Jae-hoon had just arranged to meet her. Reporter Moon also showed the message Jae-hoon had just sent, but the police still stuck to their initial conclusion. Reporter Choi stepped outside and speculated. Perhaps Jae-hoon had hidden the documents elsewhere. Reporter Moon thought it could be where they first met, because Jae-hoon suddenly texted to change the meeting place. Ji-young sat on the bus heading home. The masked person arranged to meet at the bus stop at 9 p.m. As Ji-young got off the bus, the girl who had helped him create an alibi approached. Ji-young noticed Johan standing nearby and followed the girl. While talking to the girl, Ji-young saw Jo-hoon still trailing behind. Ji-young excused himself for a restroom break. Not long after, he bumped into Jo-hoon. Jo-hoon introduced himself as investigator of the vigilante. Seems like you're writing a report on the vigilante, right? What do you think if the vigilante is writing a report about himself? Ji-young replied confidently that he would write it very objectively, because the vigilante has never seen his actions as crimes. Jo-hoon immediately said the vigilante would be caught soon, so don't continue. That's advice for you because I feel sorry for your talent. Earlier, Jo-hoon had told Professor Lee about situations when the vigilante was caught. If he is a young, righteous, and good-looking man, the public will start to get excited beyond control. I will list those who are likely to be the vigilante and blame the worst among them. So the public believes that the vigilante they are crazy about is actually a bad guy. That is the most effective way to restrain the vigilante. Then, Ji-young and the girl met earlier went to eat together. The girl confessed a company paid her to lie about Ji-young saving her with the police. Once done, they will pay me. I'm not sure exactly who gave me this task. At this moment, Ji-young also received a call from the masked person. He went outside to answer the phone. The vice chairman said that he saw Ji-young talking to Captain Jo-hoon earlier. What did you guys say to each other? Jo-hoon is the puppet of the authorities and our enemy. When it's time, we need to unite. Ji-young said he knew about me. Only 2 people know about me, you and Jo-hoon. We won't meet today. I know you copied my phone. Copy Jo-hoon's phone and give it to me. Then we'll discuss whether we should cooperate or not. Gang OK agreed to Ji-young's request after listening. Reporters Choi and Moon went to a port to find the documents that actor Jae-hoon had hidden. Reporter Moon unlocked a room and found many servers operating at full capacity inside. Both realized that these were the servers serving the company Seoul's dark web. Reporter Choi began filming everything in detail here. They both noticed a server mining cryptocurrencies. Surprisingly, a thug holding a sharp knife entered. Reporter Moon accidentally dropped a pencil box. Both then tried to escape. The thug approached where Reporter Choi was hiding to search. Reporter Moon immediately distracted the thug. When he was about to harm Reporter Choi, her colleague stopped him. However, Reporter Moon was then stabbed multiple times. Reporter Choi looked at her colleague. Then she grabbed the camera and bag and ran outside. Reporter Choi quickly got into a car and reversed it, causing the thug to fall off. This allowed Reporter Choi to escape the danger and drive away. A while later, Reporter Choi returned with many police cars. But when they opened the room, it was empty. There were no servers left. The spot where Reporter Moon fell earlier was also clean. The policeman ordered his colleagues to leave. He told Reporter Choi that they would continue the investigation, so she could leave. Then all the police cars and ambulances left the scene together. While exercising, Jo-hoon received a call from Deputy Police Chief Jae-hyub. He complained about why they hadn't caught the culprit yet. You need to wrap this up before my promotion meeting, he said. Ji-young received a message from the vice chairman while in the martial arts studio. Gang OK provided information about a personal storage locker. Ji-young went to the storage locker to retrieve a phone copied from Jo-hoon's phone. Ji-young checked and found multiple calls from Jo-hoon to Deputy Police Chief Jae-hyub. Then his phone alerted him about a live broadcast on Repo 25H. The news mentioned the death of actor Jae-hoon. He died on the day of meeting the station's reporter. This is the message we received. Jae-hoon claimed to have evidence accusing Seoul Company of operating illegal websites. This isn't a message someone about to suicide would send. This is where hundreds of servers operate illegal websites and traces of cryptocurrencies. Currently, a reporter has been murdered and missing. Our reporter Choi narrowly escaped. This is an illegal cryptocurrency trading platform using QQ Coin, and this is Seoul Company's chairman Kim Sam-doo, recently cleared of charges. At this moment, Kim Sam-doo received a phone call demanding to open the airing of Repo 25H's broadcast. The announcer is revealing the contents of the deceased actor's message. Jae-hoon accused Deputy Police Chief, nicknamed Mouse, was the mastermind behind Seoul Company. The person calling Kim Sam-doo was really Deputy Police Chief Jae-hyub. The broadcaster promises to reveal the truth and not let any force control. After the broadcast, the head stormed in and scolded the manager. Why did you let Reporter Choi do this broadcast? Do you know who just called to scold me? Stop Choi from broadcasting such nonsense again. If you can't, then resign. The manager promptly met Reporter Choi. He requested her not do any similar broadcasts anymore. You caused Reporter Moon's death without any sense of guilt? Reporter Choi responds, you took bribes from various organizations and sponsors, and now you're preventing me from exposing the truth? Let's see how far I'll go, okay? At this moment, the person who murdered Reporter Moon was cremating his body. he called a thug to instruct him to deal with reporter Choi. As reporter Choi went down to the basement parking lot, she's ambushed by a thug. Then, he controlled to drag reporter Choi into his car. Unexpectedly, Jo-hoon appeared and knocked the thug unconscious. After realizing he's a police officer, reporter Choi asked how he knew she was going to be attacked. Jo-hoon said he's here to tell her something else. Don't hook the vigilante anymore. Don't risk your life just to get sensational news. The vigilante will be caught soon, so you can stop now. Jo-hoon handcuffed the thug into his car and aggressively interrogated him. Who ordered you to assassinate reporter Choi? Write down the names of the people you've met in the last 6 months. Seeing Jo-hoon's power, the thug reluctantly obeyed. This person then wrote down 3 names. Mr. Bang was the one who sent me to arrest reporter Choi. Chairman Kim Sam-doo often assigns tasks to Mr. Bang. Seo Dole is Mr. Bang's right-hand man. He is tall and skilled in various martial arts. Meanwhile, the Squeezer is an underling of Chairman Kim Sam-doo. He often squeezes people to death that he's called the Squeezer. Jo-hoon took this gang to Kim Sam-doo's warehouse. Jo-hoon held a shield and a championship cup, announcing to the gang here that he was a policeman. If they surrender, they'll be treated as human beings. Jo-hoon single-handedly knocked down each gang member at the warehouse. Then, many police officers arrive at the scene. Jo-hoon sat calmly in front of a group of hungry pigs. Reporters began reporting about this terrified warehouse. It's believed to be a human slaughterhouse of the vigilantes. All the vigilantes were arrested and none of them confessed about the mastermind behind them. The police chief informed the media that the vigilantes had been arrested. They were an organized crime gang. After watching the news, reporters Choi knew that Jo-hoon accused this useless group as the vigilantes. Jo-hoon was scolded by his superior, Jae-hyub. He suspected if they were really the vigilantes. Jo-hoon assured him because he had evidence. Kim Sam-doo wondered why Jo-hoon blamed them as the vigilantes. His underling assured him that his boss didn't give orders because he's on their side. Then, Kim Sam-doo participated in a charity event to restore his image in the community. Ji-young's friends felt upset upon discovering that the vigilante were actually part of a criminal network. Ji-young washed his face in the restroom and realized that the one distorting the truth about the vigilante was Captain Jo-hoon. At a bookstore, a criminal named Junsik had just been acquitted. Even though he had committed rape, Ji-young secretly monitored outside the bookstore. Junsik entered a secret underground chamber. He went down and hid money in a safe. Then, Junsik prepared to enjoy a girl prepared by his underling. Suddenly, Ji-young appeared and smashed his head onto the table. Ji-young demanded Junsik to open his safe. Ji-young found a ledger containing many secret information. Reporter Choi and the manager were reprimanded and asked to resign by the head. A reporter rushed in, urging everyone to watch this. A news bulletin reported a murder case at a bookstore. The victim was a criminal who had 3 previous convictions for rape. The crime scene had a message begging for forgiveness. Reporter Choi said that was the real vigilante, probably trying to prove that the police were fabricating a fake vigilante. She was extremely excited and screamed joyfully. The vice chairman Gang Ok also applauded and praised him as the master. While Kim Sam-doo was taking pictures at the charity event, his subordinate brought bad news. Junsik was killed by the vigilante and the ledger had disappeared. Kim Sam-doo was shaken upon hearing this. He could no longer portray himself as a noble figure. Kim Sam-doo ordered his subordinate to instruct all addicts and the gang to cease their activities and flee with the money. Ji-young, wearing a black jacket, walked home and was followed by the tall and powerful captain. Ji-young ran when he saw him following. Jo-hoon ran at full speed to chase Ji-young. Then Ji-young jumped off a bridge, temporarily eluding Jo-hoon. But later, Ji-young stepped out to talk to Jo-hoon. The captain advised Ji-young to stop his action. Under my guidance, you can do greater things. Hearing this, Ji-young responded, do you know how it feels for the victims and their families when they're destroyed by criminals? The legal system you worship always shows mercy to criminals but fails to protect the victims. I want to ask you a question. A person who has ruined others' lives and doesn't repent after receiving mercy, and then continues to harm innocent people? Taking action to eliminate such individuals could save countless innocent lives. In your opinion, is that right or wrong? Jo-hoon responded that his problem was his confidence in never being wrong. You're slowly turning into a monster, so I must intervene you. Ji-young then attacked, but the powerful team captain proved to be more formidable. He kept hitting and eventually knocked Ji-young to the ground. Having subdued Ji-young, Jo-hyun then asked, do you know which crime society condemns and is punished most severely? It's treason. You are a traitor because you're challenging the legal system. Jo-hoon pushed Ji-young to the ground and continued with his argument. You may believe your reasoning is right, but it means nothing to a policeman like me. because I always take pride in being a policeman. Although I know many incompetent, lazy, and corrupt policemen exist, that's why I feel sorry for you. If you change your path a little, you could become a skilled policeman. Let me send this vigilante to meet the king of hell here. Then you can return as a police officer and work with me. Ji-young then asked if Jae-hyuk ordered him to do this. Ji-young stood up and was knocked down again by Jo-hoon. Ji-young asked Jo-hoon, "You probably know what President Kim Sang-doo and the mouse guy are up to, right? Prove that the law will punish them and justice will prevail. If you can prove it, then I will follow you. Otherwise, I'll show you how my methods can eliminate evildoers." At this point, Gang OK was also nearby. The next day, the deputy police chief asked Captain Jo-hoon to take a break. "I'll send you your full salary. Next week, I'll be promoted, so you resign as the captain of investigative team." Then, Jo-hoon drove to where the gang who wanted to kill reporter Choi was being held. Jo-hoon asked him if he remembered who ordered him to assassinate reporter Choi. Was it the mouse guy? But he said he only took orders from Mr. Bang. The squeezer guy might know where Mr. Bang is now. Ji-young was taken to the hospital by Gang OK. Ji-young was unconscious at this point. Gang OK promised that if the tall monster guy keeps obstructing them, he'll take him to the afterlife. "Hang in there, Ji-young." Then Gang OK left. But suddenly, he turned back, because he remembered he hadn't taken a picture with his idol. After achieving his goal, Gang OK left, and Ji-young woke up. At this time, a reporter from Repo 25H TV station was publicly apologizing. "Sorry for our reporter Choi not verifying when reporting on the deceased actor Jae-hoon. That's why we made the wrong conclusion about Sewell Company's illegal websites. Currently, reporter Choi has resigned. We want to apologize to Kim Sang-doo, president of Sewell Resource Company." Gang OK was sitting alone when he received a message from Ji-young. Ji-young wanted Gang OK's help to allow reporter Choi to continue reporting. The next morning, the vice chairman Gang OK led reporter Choi to a room. Gang OK promised to provide reporter Choi with her own office to continue investigating the vigilante. Reporter Choi began to plan her approach. "First, I will report the crimes of President Kim Sang-doo to start a judicial investigation. Of course, they won't investigate much because President Kim has a strong backing. Then, I will prepare a stage for the vigilante to appear. At that time, the public will be very satisfied." After hearing reporter Choi's plan, Gang OK felt it aligned with his intentions. Then, reporter Choi carried out her first personal broadcast. "I am a former reporter for Repo 25H. The motto of V News program is courage and honesty. I declare that during the investigation, I will not compromise. If I die, it's certain I'm being targeted for assassination. I believe those who believe in justice will stand by me. I promise to fight to the end." I'll title this news as "The Truth About Sewell Company and the Mouse." The deputy police chief watched the news, so angry that he smashed the TV. Many viewers watched this news and left supportive comments for reporter Choi. On this side, Jo-hoon arrested the squeezer to where the gang was being captured. He asked them to collaborate in locating Mr. Bang. Policeman named Nam Yana-el replaced Jo-hoon as the investigation team leader. The new leader announced to replace the entire team members. Everything will reset to the beginning. After getting back from the hospital, Ji-young studied the ledger he had taken before. Ji-young discovered the Maitiam Church was holding 9 billion won from Sewell Company. The chairman Kim Sang-doo also visited here many times to do charity. In the church, a man called the pastor, informing him that they had transferred all the money to QQ Coin. Then, he took a USB from the safe and plugged it into the computer to organize the files. Ji-young suddenly appeared and knocked the subordinate unconscious. He found this person was conducting currency exchanges between foreign accounts to launder money. Ji-young immediately took the USB and noticed someone lurking outside. He immediately chased after the person wearing a black coat and a mask. After being pushed to the dead end, the masked person said, "Ji-young, let's cooperate now. I've provided an office for reporter Choi and copied the phone as your words. I know you need people like me to help." Ji-young immediately asked him to take off the mask. If he is really willing to cooperate, then take off the mask. This person also took off the mask. It was the vice chairman Gang OK. Ji-young told the vice chairman everything. The pastor at Maitiam Church received Kim Sang-doo and the mouse's money. He laundered and managed their money. When I finish dealing with the pastor, then you give this USB to reporter Choi. Dealing with the pastor will stir chaos in the media and among the religious followers. The investigation will be prolonged, and the leaders will be acquitted, because money is political power. When the investigation failed and public support declined, I'll attack Kim Sang-doo and re-avel evidence. Gang OK asked, "What if you haven't caught Kim Sang-doo yet and you're dead?" Ji-young said it wouldn't be bad to end like that. Just do as I say. Gang OK asked Ji-young to save his name on the phone with a cool name. But Ji-young bluntly refused this ridiculous request. As Professor Lee entered the office, he met a stranger. He introduced himself as the new captain of the investigation team, replacing Jo-hoon. I heard that Jo-hoon came here to meet you. What did you two talk about? At this moment, Ji-young suddenly entered. Professor Lee asked Ji-young to stand there and wait. Nam Young-il continued to ask Professor Lee if Captain Jo-hoon requested to see the students' photos. The professor said yes, but he refused his request. Then Nam Young-il also left. Professor Lee said Ji-young didn't need to help him anymore. He told him to rest and study well. Despite Ji-young's desire to help build the application to the end, but Professor Lee still refused. Jae-hyub was transferred to work as the principal of the police university. He began teaching the true principles of a real police officer. Listening to Jae-hyub say that Ji-young's two best friends felt uncomfortable. At the church, the pastor entered the room with two Sewell Company staffs awaiting him. They handed him phones containing electronic wallets to store. A guard was suddenly attacked by Ji-young. Ji-young then switched off the lights and knocked out the two staffs. One sprayed a fire extinguisher, but Ji-young immediately disabled it. Then Ji-young chased the pastor out to the sanctuary area. Ji-young grabbed the pastor and threw him away. The pastor asked if Ji-young was not afraid of God's punishment. After hearing this, Ji-young coldly replied, "Does God teach you to sell drug and do usury? I want the weak people in the world to witness the tragic death of criminals. Only then can they rise up to defend themselves." The next morning, the news reported on the pastor's death. Based on the red writing on the wall, the police concluded that the vigilante was responsible. The investigation was underway as many are shocked by the departure of the revered pastor. Kim Sam-doo called the deputy police chief Mouse. "Give me 5 more days. I will make reporter Choi, Jo Hyun and the vigilante disappear forever, so you can rest assured to be a principal." Reporter Choi received a meeting invitation from Gang OK. She went and entered the vice chairman's supercar. Gang showed the reporter statistics on the real money converted into digital currency at the MITM church. Gang OK said, "I have my own investigation team, so I know all about this money laundering case." Reporter Choi asked if he knew who the vigilante was. Gang OK said he didn't know and handed her a USB drive. This USB will reveal the true nature of that pastor. Reporter Choi took the USB and stepped out of the car. Jo-hoon went to the house where Mr. Bang used to live to find him. Arriving there, Jo-hoon only saw a computer broadcasting Reporter Choi's live stream. Mr. Bang and his associates were on their way to deal with Reporter Choi. On the Reporter Choi's live broadcast, she announced that Pastor Shin managed Chairman Kim Sang-doo's secret fund. "The files I'm about to release will expose many crimes of Sewell Company." Suddenly someone came and stopped this live broadcast. Ji-young recognized him as Captain Jo-hoon. Captain prevented the reporter from publishing Pastor Shin's documents. "The vigilante is near you, so you will surely face a lot of danger. You are inciting the vigilante and turning him into a hero. Your actions will stir up public opinion. Your cheap actions are getting the death closer to you." Hearing this, Reporter Choi chuckled. She declared, "I will continue to help the vigilante despite facing many risks. Only brave people like me can incite the vigilante. Do you understand now, Captain?" After that, Jo-hoon also got out of the parking lot to leave. As he stepped into the car, Jo-hoon was attacked. However, with his superior reflexes, Jo-hoon deftly disabled the assailant's lethal knife strikes. He then tossed him out of the car like a mouse. This assassin was none other than Mr. Bang in the Legends. Unexpectedly, the burly guy lunged at Jo-hoon, knocking him down. This one had a physique nearly the same as the police captain. He could fight evenly with Jo-hoon. But then he was also got with a series of powerful punches from Jo-hoon. Mr. Bang moved into rescue and managed to swipe a knife into Jo-hoon's leg. The two then teamed up to attack the police captain. Later, Mr. Bang stabbed Jo-hoon in the stomach. Jo-hoon endured the pain and fought back, but they pressed him against the wall. Jo-hoon asked who ordered them. "This time, you won't be able to do anything to me." Jo-hoon used his remaining strength to knock down the two down. However, Jo-hoon also began to weaken. When Mr. Bang was about to finish off Jo-hoon, Ji-young suddenly appeared. Ji-young attacked Mr. Bang fiercely. Mr. Bang realized that the real vigilante had arrived. So, Mr. Bang and his gang retreated. Jo-hoon was immediately taken to the emergency room. At this point, Jo-hoon was still unconscious. The media also reported the vigilante appeared to save Jo-hoon, attacked by two unknown assailants. After seeing this news, Gang OK immediately called Ji-young. "Did you really save Jo-hoon? I told you he just got in our way." Ji-young said, "I'll turn Jo-hoon into a vigilante." Reporter Choi was denied access to Jo-hoon's hospital room by the police. Later, reporter Choi bumped into the mouse Jae-hyub. Reporter Choi asked him to convey a message to Jo-hoon. "I hope he recovers soon. Goodbye, I'll see you later." Jae-hyub went in and saw Jo-hoon lying unconscious on the hospital bed. The doctor also said they didn't know when he would wake up. Then Jae-hyub went to have dinner with a general. This person is also a strong supporter of Jae-hyub. The general asked Deputy to try being principal for a while. "Wait, then I'll take you back later." Jae-hyub was very excited to hear that. Meanwhile, Kim Sam-doo called and scolded Mr. Bang. Because he was useless, there are 3 main targets to remain safe. Mr. Bang said, "I'm not in a good mood right now, don't make me explode. Keep talking, and I'll end you." On the other hand, Kim Sam-doo's close secretary was collecting all the hard drives containing QQ coin cryptocurrency into a briefcase. Suddenly, he saw smoke rising. When he opened the door, he was given a kick by the vigilante. After defeating the thugs, Ji-young took the briefcase containing the hard drive and left, leaving the burning house behind. Ji-young went to an orphanage and pressed the doorbell. The principal of the orphanage came out to find someone had left a bag full of money. Reporter Choi began broadcasting news about the scene of the fire last night. "Here, there is a red line with the content that I will sell QQ coin and donate money to charity. Before I take them to donate, Kim Sam-doo and Jae-hyub should confess." This line indicates that this is the counterattack of the vigilante. The fire also occurred at the office registered under the name of Sewell Company. Currently, the police continue to extend the investigation. RV News promises to follow up on this case. Mr. Bang was having dinner with Seo Dole when the news reported that an orphanage had received a large donation from a mysterious benefactor. Jae-hyub was having meal with his wife and son when the news reported the police were checking the Sewell Company, but Kim Sam-doo refused to cooperate with the investigation. Then he heard someone was ringing his doorbell. When Jae-hyub opened the door, he saw Kim Sam-doo standing outside. Kim Sam-doo brought a basket of fruit as a gift. He wanted to come in and talk, but Jae-hyub refused to let him in. Kim Sam-doo threatened him. "I know who got your back. I also know that QQ coin will be used in that person's political fund. If you let me take all the crimes alone, I'll drag both of you down together." Jae-hyub retorted loudly, "Keep your mouth shut for the next 6 months. That's the only way I can help you. Stay silent, you just commit illegal business. Drag me in, you'll face serious sentence. Because you don't manage your people well, that's why this mess happened. Find a way to mislead the vigilante, and I'll help you get out of jail as soon as possible." Kim Sam-doo got into his car and threw the fruit basket at his close secretary. Then Kim Sam-doo beat him up. Because he was too useless, they lost a huge amount of QQ coin money. Kim Sam-doo ordered that they would finish off Reporter Choi themselves to find the vigilante. Those two must be connected. Nam Yang-il arrived at the scene of the fire to investigate. He realized that the vigilante, along with Jo-hoon and Reporter Choi, had some kind of connection. Nam Yang-il requested to get a search warrant for Reporter Choi's office. Meanwhile, Mr. Bang was praying to God to prepare to commit an unforgivable crime. The principal at the orphanage checked and turned off the lights so the children could sleep soundly. Then, she noticed the door shaking and went to lock it. Suddenly, the poor director was ruthlessly killed by Mr. Bang. Next morning, at the university, Ji-young heard that Principal Jae-hyub might face suspension. Then, Ji-young saw the news broadcast. The director of the orphanage who had dedicated her life to the homeless children was brutally murdered. Right after this orphanage received a very large donation, there was also a red threatening message left at the scene. Ji-young realized that his seemingly heroic actions had accidentally made an innocent person die. Ji-young was extremely frustrated. His 2 close friends also noticed that Ji-young seemed very angry with someone. In the evening, Ji-young received continuous calls from the vice chairman, Gang Ok. Ji-young went out to meet Gang Ok. Seon-wook also noticed Ji-young's unusual behavior. Ji-young told Gang Ok that they wanted to lure the vigilante. "I have to act before more innocent people are killed. Remember to keep an eye on Reporter Choi. They will definitely come to find her." Seon-wook was also following Ji-young at this time. Soon through the surveillance camera, Gang Ok saw many cars driving into the basement. Kim Sam-doo's secretary and his gang, with covered faces, were going to deal with Reporter Choi. After observing through the camera, Reporter Choi saw many masked men rushing in, but she remained calm and set up hidden cameras all over her office. They rushed in and smashed all the furniture in the room. At this point, Ji-young also saw Reporter Choi performing a live broadcast. The reporter hid in a room and broadcasted the entire scene of the gang smashing things. The broadcast attracted a lot of viewers. Nam Yang-il saw this broadcast and went there. The gangs also realized they were being broadcasted. They searched and smashed the hidden cameras. The secretary saw reporter Choi hiding in the room. He ordered his subordinates to drag her out. Then he smashed her phone. Unexpectedly, Gang LK rushed in with a baseball bat to rescue reporter Choi. Gang LK wielded the bat and knocked out each masked man. The secretary grabbed the reporter as hostage. But Gang LK was determined not to stop. Nam Yong-il also arrived with many police cars. But when they went upstairs, they only saw reporter Choi sitting alone in the office. Nam Yong-il invited reporter Choi to the police station. Upon arrival, they found reporter Choi already in Nam Yong-il's car, so he also knew that she was safe and sound. Reporter Choi told Nam Yong-il that some viewers had come to rescue her after watching the broadcast. Nam Yong-il suspected whether she had collaborated with the vigilante to lure the masked men there or not. Reporter Choi said the vigilante didn't use a bat, because he never need weapons. Then reporter Choi was also released home. Reporter Choi soaked in the tub after getting home, and remembered the words that Gang OK had said to her earlier. Gang OK advised reporter Choi to flee if a similar situation happened, because they still had a lot to do. Thinking of this, reporter Choi burst into laughter. Then darkness enveloped her. Nam Yong-il rushed straight into the class where Professor Lee was teaching. He requested to meet the student Ji-young. Nam Yong-il asked Ji-young what he was doing last night when reporter Choi's office was attacked. Ji-young said, "I have privacy rights, but do you have any evidence to suspect me?" Nam Yong-il replied, "You have resemblance to the vigilante. The phone used to transact QQ coin was turned on at this school. We've investigated everything, so you should be honest." Professor Lee immediately spoke up to relieve his student. Nam Yong-il continued to warn, but Ji-young insisted, "I haven't done anything wrong." Nam Yong-il then left and told his subordinates that, to sell cryptocurrency, a phone with a digital wallet must be used, and that phone was turned on here. Someone accidentally turned it on and off. Maybe he cooperated with Jo Hoon to plan everything. Nam Yong-il then went to Jo Hoon's hospital room. When he entered, he saw Jo Hoon still unconscious. Nam Yong-il said to Jo Hoon, "I'm sorry, but I need to fulfill my duty. Let a policeman like me correct the mistake for another policeman." Nam Yong-il nodded goodbye and left. At this moment, Jo Hyun opened his eyes. Ji-young met Gang OK and thanked him for acting promptly to rescue reporter Choi. At the end, "I really need her," Ji-young remarked, "because no one can report to the public as well as reporter Choi." Ji-young received a call from his friend, Seon-wook. Seon-wook notified him, Nam Yong-il leading police search, and seized all the computers in Professor Lee's office. Ji-young heard the news but remained calm. A policeman informed Nam Yong-il that they had found the exact location of the phone that had sold QQ coin. Both rushed to the office of Principal Jae-hyub. Nam Yong-il kicked open the door of the room. Ji-young told Gang OK, "I turned on the phone with the QQ coin wallet and set a trap. I simulated as if Jae-hyub had used that amount. I found the phone he used to call Chairman Kim Sam-doo." When the two police officers searched the principal's room, they each found a phone. The principal yelled at the two police officers loudly. Nam Yong-il said, "I will keep this phone. If you want to confess, I'll give you time. If you still don't confess, then I'll give it to the investigative team." Nam Yong-il went outside and took the phone that the other police officer had just found in the locker. The principal called for his backup to ask for help. Nam Yong-il prepared to depart the police school with two confiscated phones. While driving on the road, Nam Yong-il's car was hit hard by a dump truck. Nam Yong-il's car overturned on the road. Jo Hoon was exercising in the hospital room when the police informed that Nam Yong-il had died in an accident. Ji-young got a call from Seon-wook, saying Nam had died in an accident. Ji-young felt depressed for causing harm to another innocent person again. Meanwhile, reporter Choi had been captured and detained by Mr. Bang. Ji-young bowed his head and went to meet Captain Jo Hoon at a bridge. Ji-young explained that he was just trying to help Nam Yong-il find evidence. So, Ji-young received a punch in the stomach from Jo Hoon. But Ji-young continued, "Nam Yong-il he left forever because he is an honest police officer. I will send all those wretches to meet the death." Jo Hoon demanded Ji-young to stop because he would be the first to be finished off. Ji-young said that no one could stop the vigilante. "If you want to stop me, then kill me right now. If not, then show me what justice is, as you said." Gang OK was reported that reporter Choi had been missing for several days. At this moment, the reporter was being interrogated by Mr. Bang using torture. He wanted to know who the vigilante was, but the reporter bravely spat on Mr. Bang's face. Reporter Choi said to Mr. Bang, "I see you wearing a rosary ring, meaning you believe in God. But why do you do such dirty things?" Mr. Bang listened but continued to torture reporter Choi. Gang OK ordered underlings to break into reporter Choi's home. Arriving there, they only found the scene of a brawl. Gang OK immediately called Ji-young to inform him that reporter Choi had been kidnapped. The subordinates in a usury company of Chairman Kim Sam-doo were collecting all the cash when the power in the room went out. At this time, Gang OK appeared with a baseball bat. Gang OK knocked down each thug one by one, then Gang OK intentionally led them to chase after him. When they fled, Ji-young walked straight into the office. Ji-young knocked down the manager who was talking to Kim Sam-doo on the phone. Ji-young told him to read what he wrote. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. at World Cup Stadium, bring reporter Choi. I will bring the digital wallet to exchange for her. Otherwise, it will be thrown in On River. Until then did Kim Sam-doo realize that Mr. Bang was capturing reporter Choi. Then Kim Sam-doo ordered his subordinates to execute his loyal secretary. Because this secretary had repeatedly caused trouble for him, Kim Sam-doo called Mr. Bang and asked for Choi, and promised to pay 5 times the amount Jae-hyuk gave him. Take the reporter to the meeting place with the vigilante. I just need to get back the digital wallet, and leave dealing with the vigilante to you. Hearing this, Mr. Bang agreed. Kim Sam-doo ordered his subordinates to gather everyone in the gang here. After getting back the digital wallet, we will deal with everything. If they don't go to die, then we will have to. On this side, Ji-young also met Gang OK to discuss the action plan. His friend Seon-wook also secretly followed nearby. Then Seon-wook stepped out to talk to Ji-young. He told Ji-young not to skip school anymore. You said we should believe in human reform. It's not too late to change now. At this time, Jo-hong came to pay respects at Nam Yong-il's funeral. Then Jo-hong went to where Mr. Bang's 2 henchmen were being detained to give them food and a bottle of wine. Mr. Bang asked reporter Choi to bathe and change clothes. The vigilante wants to use the digital wallet to exchange for your life. After hearing this, reporter Choi laughed excitedly. A line of black cars drove together at the World Cup Stadium. Kim Sam-doo's subordinates ordered everyone to start moving. The thugs rushed into the security room and beat up the employees working there to take control of the stadium. At night, a person in a black coat walked in. Seeing this, the henchman immediately. Kim Sam-doo stepped out of his car only to see a multitude of people all wearing identical black coats. Ji-young and the vice chairman smoothly merged into the crowd in black coats to enter the stadium. Among them was Ji-young's friend, Seon-wook. Seo-dol drove Mr. Bang and reporter Choi to the stadium. Mr. Bang praised the vigilante for being smarter than they had thought. Mr. Bang warned reporter Choi not to do anything stupid, or else she would be handled immediately. The henchman informed Kim Sam-doo that reporter Choi and Seo-dol were entering the stadium. As both entered the stadium, they were informed by the staff that they had to purchase black coats to gain entry. Seo-dol pulled out some cash to buy a set of coats. Ji-young and the vice chairman observed everything from above. Earlier, Ji-young had told Gang OK that Kim Sam-doo would try to finish off him, Mr. Bang, and Jae-hyuk. That's the only way for him to survive. He's not the one capturing reporter Choi, but Mr. Bang. Find a way to lure Kim Sam-doo and his gangs together in one place. Kim Sam-doo also ordered all his gangs to wear white clothes. They did so to avoid being confused with the people inside. The music concert in the stadium also began. Everyone started dancing to the lively music. Seo-dol carried reporter Choi through the crowded crowd to find the real vigilante. Ji-young appeared to lead Seo-dolce. He chased after him and accidentally hit a concertgoer. Ji-young quickly took the reporter away. Mr. Bang, watching from above, immediately followed. Kim Sam-doo attempted to follow but was blocked by Gang OK with baseball bat. Many henchmen in white clothes began to surround Gang OK. The vice chairman fought and managed to escape the crowded mob. Ji-young led the reporter to the parking lot and handed her a phone. He requested her to live stream. It's the only way to catch them. Ji-young then led Seo-dol up onto the roof of a bus. They began to fight. Mr. Bang also appeared to assist Seo-dolce. The reporter started live streaming. Meanwhile, Jo-hon, exercising at home, saw the reporter's live stream. Jo-hon immediately put on police body armor and, with 2 thugs in custody, drove to the stadium. Meanwhile, Gang OK lured Kim Sam-doo's henchmen to Ji-young's location. Kim Sam-doo ordered them all to kill all without mercy. The reporter informed that Kim Sam-doo and Sewol Company employees were trying to kill the real vigilante. Jae-hyuk was drinking with General when his staff rushed in to report. Kim Sam-doo's gang and the vigilante were fighting in the stadium. Reporter Choi was live streaming the scene. The General demanded Jae-hyuk to go to handle them as fast as possible. Damn these scoundrels! Meanwhile, the white-shirt gangsters were attacking and exterminating everyone present. Seeing Ji-young surrounded by henchmen, reporter Choi shouted loudly. Her scream successfully drew the attention of the henchmen, causing them to chase after her. Ji-young rushed to pull the reporter into a bus. Kim Sam-doo's close secretary and Mr. Bang also boarded this bus. Shortly after, Jo-han drove up and rammed into Co. Dolce. He demanded that everyone surrender. Those who comply will be treated as humans. Mr. Bang ordered his 2 loyal henchmen to capture Jo-han, but they hesitated. Kim Sam-doo ordered his men to deal with Mr. Bang. A chaotic battle ensued. Kim Sam-doo boarded the bus to eliminate the reporter. He attacked and was about to stab Ji-young when a man in a black coat intervened. The man was then fatally stabbed by Kim Sam-doo. Ji-young immediately kicked Kim Sam-doo down and realized that the stabbed person was Seon-wook. Many police cars began to rush to the scene. Ji-young asked the reporter to help him take Seon-wook to the hospital. Seon-wook told Ji-young, "I believe what you're doing is right." Kim Sam-doo and many henchmen fled. Mr. Bang also left behind his most loyal henchmen and fled. Ji-young quickly left to avoid being arrested by the police. Everyone ran down to a basement of the stadium. As Ji-young ran through a door, Gang-ok immediately closed it and fought alone with the crowded mob. Kim Sam-doo started fighting with Mr. Bang. Ji-young also joined the fight. Meanwhile, Jo-han arrived and announced that everyone had been arrested. The 4 split into 2 pairs and fought each other. Ji-young knocked Kim Sam-doo to the ground. Mr. Bang was knocked out by Jo-han when suddenly the door shut down. Jae-hyub appeared and stood above, announcing that they had no chance to escape. Kim Sam-doo spoke up to beg and was the first one to be exterminated. The last 3 started to flee. As the gun ran out of bullets, Jae-hyub turned the valve, releasing strong water streams. Then he began reloading his gun and firing continuously into the water below. Ji-young and Jo-han began to climb up. Taking advantage of the gun running out of bullets, Jo-han quickly knocked him down. Jae-hyub dropped his gun. Ji-young immediately punched on his face. Jo-han intervened and announced to arrest Jae-hyub for assassinating Nam Yeon-il. He colluded with a gang to commit many crimes. Hearing this, Jae-hyub offered to eliminate the real vigilante for a big reward. Ji-young was about to teach him another lesson, but Jo-hyun intervened. Jo-han told Ji-young not to use fists anymore. Reporter Choi would broadcast it to the world. As for this guy, let the law handle him. I will prove to you no matter what, in the end, the law is always right. Mr. Bang climbed up and declared he would protect Jae-hyub because he paid him. Mr. Bang swung the knife, hitting Ji-young's shoulder. Jae-hyub took the opportunity to pick up the gun and fired continuously at Ji-young and Jo-han. Ji-young took another shot, and Jo-han arrived when the gun ran out of bullets. Jo-han lifted his former boss up and said, "I will talk to you informally." Then Jo-han turned him into a bloody mess. Mr. Bang ran to defend his gold mine but was restrained by Ji-young. Ji-young redirected his knife into his own heart. Mr. Bang was the first to fall. Ji-young looked at team captain Jo-han and then collapsed. Only Jo-han remained conscious. Because by now, Jae-hyub was also dead. Seon-wook was lifted onto an ambulance, and all the henchmen were arrested. Then Choi reported to the police that the real vigilante was a police academy student. He was the student who tragically died in the fight at the stadium. After seeing, the general ordered the head officer to cancel all evidence she had and release her immediately. Restoring public reputation is my duty. Gang-ok woke up to find himself being given fluids. Gang-ok, concerned for Ji-young, immediately rushed out to ask the secretary about his idol's situation. The secretary said Ji-young had been taken to the hospital. I have deleted all the cameras in the stadium. The police won't be able to figure out anything, but something unexpected has happened. Gang-ok watched the news and learned that reporter Choi had turned the deceased student into the vigilante. Gang-ok watched the news excitedly. So, Ji-young and I can continue to treat the bad guys. The secretary quickly dissuaded Gang-ok, reminding him they weren't always lucky enough to escape death. The next day, Ji-young went to visit his deceased friend's grave. Reporter Choi stood apart and confided in team captain Jo-han. If I report the truth, will the law eradicate evil? Or will they see Ji-young as a criminal and the death of Seon-wook as futile? My father was a true civil servant. He was murdered and framed to cover up his death. But no media outlet reported on it. So I was very excited when the vigilante appeared. I wanted to use the vigilante to stir up the world. I know neither of us wants the vigilante to disappear now. After listening, Captain Jo-han silently walked away. Ji-young was sitting alone in sadness when he heard the news praising the deceased Jae-hyub. He had fought to the end with a criminal organization. Jae-hyub was not the key figure behind the Sewell Company. Jae-hyub would be promoted to honorary general commissioner. The general praised Jae-hyub for bravely fighting till the end, despite false accusations. Ji-young couldn't be more disgusted upon hearing the news. A ceremony welcoming the newly graduated officers was held at the police university. The president came to preside the oath ceremony. A close friend of Ji-young stepped up to perform the oath ceremony of a police officer. Ji-young, as a new police officer, also attended the ceremony with many thoughts in mind. The movie ends here. It leaves many open-ended elements for a potential future sequel. If you enjoyed the content, remember to like and subscribe to support us. See you in the next videos.